Hello everybody, this is the Vikstrand. This movie costed $12 million in today's money's value. It is amazing to actually look at. $12 million would get you, what, a shitty Steven Seagal movie, shitty Van Damme movie. Maybe you would be able to persuade Tom Cruise to get out of bed in the morning. But looking at it, it still holds up 100%. It is one of the greatest action films of all time. It is one of my favorite 80s movies of all time. And it still has one of the, if not the greatest action sequence of the entire 20th century, the chase in the end. We'll get to that in a second. But let's take a look at how good the rest of the movie is. Spoiler, it's really fucking good, you guys. This is The Road Warrior, or Mad Max 2. It's been 5 years since the last movie when Max lost his family. In that movie, the world seemed to be in a bit of a downward spiral, but it has gone from bad to horrible because, you know, nuclear war and other stuff as well has turned the world into an apocalyptic wasteland ruled by the, you know, gangs and shortage of fuel. And in this world, Max only has two friends, a scruffy looking dog and the Interceptor. When I was a kid, I always called it the Mad Machine, because I thought it sounded cool. And he's being pursued by, you know, people who wants to, you know, steal his precious juice to fuel their, you know, makeshift machines that they're riding on. And he comes across a place where they actually make gasoline as much as you want to, as you know, the gyrocopter guy says. Max, however, discovers that it's going to be tricky to get all that juice out of the fueling station because they're being besieged by the evildoers, led by the Lord Humongous, the Ayatollah of rock and roller. And is he going to be able to, you know, help them escape Lord Humongous and, you know, get all the juice? And can they do it and, you know, not get killed? That's the question we're gonna have to ask ourselves. And wow, this is just such a fantastic movie. Even if you strip away Brian May's amazing, organic, haunting and stressful music, even if you strip away the goddamn amazing car chases, the action sequences, the iconic, fantastic costumes, the mohawks, and, you know, the incredible pace this movie has, you are still left with a story that is really fascinating, of a world that is really fascinating, that you want to know more about, but they're not letting you really, because this is not a cautionary tale of this is going to happen if we don't do so and so. They don't give a shit. This is just a story about the future where everything is fucked and the only thing people want is gasoline. And, you know, we have evildoers and we have not evildoers, and in the middle we have Max. Max is probably one of the perfect examples of an anti-hero done right. He's not a knight in shining armor. He doesn't, you know, throw big speeches. In fact, what does he have? 16 lines of dialogue or something like that? It's not a lot. Except for Mel Gibson, all the people in this movie are basically played by, you know, unknowns, but they are still able to flesh out really interesting characters. And, you know, you identify everybody immediately. You know exactly what they are. You know exactly what ticks them. And you have got to absolutely love the villains in this movie. This is just such an important movie when it comes to show how good a great villain is. The Lord Humongous is one of the most iconic villains of all time, and Wes is probably the greatest henchman that has ever been in any movie. Jesus, I love him. Fast-paced, stressful, gritty, and the action sequences never lets up. And it has probably one of the biggest explosions in the history of ever, and definitely the biggest explosion in the entire 1980s. Jesus Christ, it is big. But we have all come to see the finale, because you can have a shitty movie and have a great finale. And you will forget everything about the shitty beginning of the movie if you just deliver a fantastic third act. This movie does that and more, because you are all the time completely immersed in the story. You're completely immersed in the characters, and you really root for these guys. And when the third act comes, the Great Escape and the chase, it never ends, and I never want it to end. I just want it to go on, because it's going and going and going and going, and they're just, you know, raising the stakes all the time. Boom, 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 boom. And to top it all off, they have one of my favorite endings of all time, with one of the greatest last lines in a movie I have ever heard. Which made me really annoyed when they made Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, one of my least favorite sequels of all time. Bloody hell, I'm probably gonna have to review it, you know, sometimes. Then I can get stuff off my chest. But the only problems I have with this movie is not this movie's fault technically, but because this is basically the mini-me of Mad Max Fury Road. He's exactly like you, 1/8 your size. Because movies affects other movies. Once I saw Mad Max Fury Road, this movie kind of was not as impressive as it was before. I mean, Mad Max Fury Road is one of the, if not the greatest action movie I have ever seen in my entire life. I have a very soft spot for post-apocalyptic action movies, and this is one of the greatest of them all. The only movie that probably tops it is Mad Max Fury Road. And if you have never seen this movie before, bloody hell, you have an experience in front of you. And if you have seen it, see it again, because when I rewatched it, I just realized how fucking amazing this movie is. It holds up 100%. I think that when it comes to really great action movies of the 1980s, this is almost as good as you can make them. It is a fast-paced, iconic, unique cult movie with some of the greatest action sequences you will ever see, with some of the greatest stunt work you'll ever see, and no CGI. It just feels so fresh to see this movie in this raw form. There are small little problems here and there when the lack of money or the you know, glitching technique shows up to, you know, they've speed up stuff and they've speed up a couple of things that makes it look a little hokey, but it's okay. This movie is close to absolute perfection, and they did it within 100 minutes. Great work, everybody. This movie features no Daniel Day-Lewis levels of acting, but I'll still give this movie 95 points. I believe all the characters, and I believe this world to 100%. And this is one of these fantastic cult movies that really holds up. There are moments here and there where you could have tightened stuff together, and you could have, you know, shortened sequences here and there, but for the most part, every sequence has a purpose, and the pace is freaking amazing considering how old this movie is. Great music, and the atmosphere, you can slice it with a knife. And the fantastic ending is the cherry on the top, even though I hate cherries. So I'll see you next time for, well, so-and-so reviewing, well, such and such. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.